So is anybody else a little confused about the hero's journey? Because I have been before. The hero's journey is a little bit convoluted and long and difficult to learn, so I am going to make a series of videos, starting with this one, breaking down every single step of the hero's journey and giving you examples so that you can better commit it to memory and apply it to your stories. One of the wonderful members of our community gave me this idea and I was very, very excited by it. So instead of making one giant video breaking down the hero's journey, which I've already done and which you can find in the description, I'm gonna make a bunch of smaller videos breaking down every single step in a lot of detail. So stick around and binge the series if you want to learn more about the hero's journey. For those of you who are new, hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Claire Fraze and I'm an award-winning young adult author who makes videos on this channel sharing the actionable writing tips that helped me make my own writing better. I like to start all of my videos by giving the disclaimer that the advice that I give you is not necessarily going to work for you. I'm not trying to get up on a pedestal and tell you what you have to do in order to become a better writer. I'm just giving you what worked for me in the hopes that it will also help you out. So, listen to my advice if you want to, don't listen to my advice if you don't want to, and without further ado, let's get into the content. So first of all, because this is the first in this series that we're going to be filming, what is the hero's journey? The hero's journey is a type of story structure developed by Joseph Campbell. Joseph Campbell wrote a book called The Hero with a Thousand Faces. It was really dense. I never read it, but I still learned about the hero's journey in screenwriting courses and fiction writing courses that I took, and it is an immensely cool and helpful structure to use when thinking about planning a novel or a screenplay, like any longer form story. But in his book, The Hero with a Thousand Faces, Joseph Campbell puts forth this idea of a monomyth, which is summarized by Wikipedia as a hero ventures forth from the world of common day into a region of supernatural wonder. Fabulous forces are there encountered, and a decisive victory is won. The hero comes back from this mysterious adventure with the power to bestow boons on his fellow man. Which is a fancy way of saying that someone goes on an adventure and returns somehow different. The hero's journey is a structure that is used in famous stories such as Star Wars. George Lucas is known to have said that he used the hero's journey as a way to plot out the Star Wars movies. And the hero's journey story structure is found in many famous stories, such as movies like Moana, which is an animated Disney movie which I adore and which is an amazing example of the hero's journey, which I've broken down in a separate video on this channel, which is here up in the cards and also in the description. So why do we care about the hero's journey? Well, learning about the hero's journey and understanding why it's structured the way that it is very helpful when you're learning how to craft stories with heroes that connect to people, that go on adventures and change in ways that keep people invested in the story. A story's plot is more than just ordinary real-life events. You, as an author or a screenwriter, craft a story in order to deliver a message to an audience or to get your audience to feel something. So learning how structures such as the hero's journey work is instrumental to learning how to do that. So there are 12 stages of the hero's journey, give or take, depending on who you talk to. There are other people who think there are more, there are other people who think there are less, but for the purpose of this video, we are going to talk about the 12 main stages of the hero's journey. And if you look at a graph or visual representation of the hero's journey, a lot of the times you're going to find it existing in a circle. This is because your hero starts at the same place as they end their story. They embark from a place, they go on their adventure, and they return to the same place afterwards, so they go in a sort of circle. In this first video, we are going to talk about the very first stage of the hero's journey, where they are still right at the top of that circle, which is the ordinary world. This is the stage that sets up who your character is and what the world is like around them before they actually go on their adventure. For example, in Star Wars: A New Hope, the ordinary world is the section where Luke Skywalker is existing on Tatooine. You meet Luke, you meet his family, you understand what they do, you kind of get to know what the world is like, and then bam, the story starts. But that section before the story starts is the ordinary world. The ordinary world is pretty straightforward. There isn't a lot of stuff that I need to explain for this, but there are a couple of things that your ordinary world section has to do in order for it to be done well. The hero's journey as a story structure follows one main character. This main character goes on a journey, and that journey changes them in some way. They go on the journey and they come back home different, either having accomplished something or changed as a person, ideally both. So when you start writing the book, you as the writer already have an idea of how this character is going to change in your story, and you want your ordinary world to foreshadow that. For example, in the Hunger Games, the ordinary world is the section in the first chapter before Katniss goes to the Reaping and volunteers in her sister Prim's place to compete in the games. The ordinary world shows her leading up to that moment. So when the book starts, it's the day of the Reaping. She wakes up and her sister's having nightmares, and she goes hunting to feed her family, and you meet her best friend Gale, and she goes to the market, and she does all of these things that are normal in her day-to-day life. But even though this might not look very exciting or purposeful, those moments do a lot of work to foreshadow Katniss in the games. Firstly, it foreshadows the inciting incident because it sets up Katniss's connection with her little sister Prim. She would not have volunteered for Prim in the Reaping if she did not feel an intense love and protective urge toward Prim. All of the hunting scenes, just as importantly, foreshadow the fact that she's really good at using a bow and arrow, which is going to become incredibly important when she's forced to fight to the death. It sets her up as resourceful, it sets her up as loyal, it also doesn't put her above breaking the rules, which ultimately becomes important in the series. She's defiant and will do whatever it takes to protect her family. All of the things that make Katniss such an effective protagonist in the Hunger Games are all set up and shown in the ordinary world section of the first chapter of the book. And the Hunger Games comes full circle too, because Katniss goes on this adventure and eventually returns to the same place that she started, but she's different. Something has changed because of the journey that she's gone on. If you want to have a more methodical breakdown of like the 4 things that every point of entry has to do and examples of all the different ways to put it all together, go watch my video, How to Write an Effective Point of Entry, which is also on my channel. I've linked it in the cards and also in the description of this video if you're interested in checking it out. So that just about sums it up for Ordinary Worlds and this first stage of the hero's journey. If you are interested in sticking around and watching the other videos in this series, make sure to hit that subscribe button because our next video on Calls to Adventure, which is the next super exciting part of the hero's journey where the story actually starts, will be coming out shortly after this video. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to my channel. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, my name is Claire Fraze and I'm the award-winning author of young adult supernatural thriller They Stay, which is a young adult thriller with ghosts in it. I hope you have a good week, everyone, and as always, happy writing.